do this to myself? Alright, hi everyone. I'm just gonna set up the timer. We can start at about, what, 5 o'clock? And we finish at 7? I want to try my best to write these solutions in a well set out way so people in future years can maybe benefit from the thought process of the working out, and I'm trying to make the solutions as accurate as possible. If you've just finished these solutions, if you've just done this paper an hour ago, you know, you might be feeling it was pretty difficult, but at the end of the day, you know, you chose Extension 1 Maths, and everyone who does Extension 1 Maths is a winner because of the scaling. So don't worry about it. Now, if you're sitting here going through this video, thinking about what you've done with your life, I don't know, seek help. Anyhow, giving ourselves a couple of hours to write out the solutions of this paper. I'll later on correct it and make sure that all the answers are right. So we're looking at the first multiple choice question. Initial temperature, that will be 15 plus 4, which is 19. So we have D. Question 2, a standard 6-sided die is rolled 12 times. P hat be the proportion of rolls with an outcome of 2. Is the probability that at least... Okay, let's write that down. Interesting. I'm not really sure, like, if their notation is good. Is the probability that at least 9 of the rolls have an outcome of 2. So what they're really referring to is x is greater than or equals to 9. Which I can see is equivalent to the sample proportion being greater than or equals to 9 over 12, because that is the definition of p hat, so 9 over the number of trials, 12. And we're looking at 3 over 4, and I think that will be A. Great. Question 3. Diagram shows the slope field. Great, slope field of a differential equation passes through. Where does the solution that passes through minus 2, 1 cross the y-axis? These things are so contrived. I really think it's like these are the dumbest questions ever. If you look at the slope field, I'm guessing it's gonna go like, you know, follow the little line and a little bit more than 1.5. So I'm gonna guess C. But honestly, I don't believe in these questions. These questions are dumb. Question 4. The diagram shows the graphs of the functions f of x and g of x. It is known that... So we've got some areas going on. They got A to C is 10. I might just switch to the other screen so you can all see what I'm thinking about. Get myself a pencil. So A to C is 10. A to B is minus 2. So that makes that 12. Okay, so that's minus 2, that's 12. As you can see. No, we're looking at the wrong one. That's confusing. Okay, that's 10. The whole thing is 10. And b to c of g of x is 3. So that makes this a 7. Interesting. What do they want? What is the area between the curves between A and C? I'm guessing if you just wrote those numbers in, it will just be a 2 plus 7 equals 9. Unless I'm mistaken. But anyway. So that was a C as well. Question 4. Question 5. Which of the following is the value of this? You just need to test the value between pi and 3 pi on 2. I would suggest something like 5 pi on 4. That should narrow it down quite quickly because we know that this is going to be sine inverse of negative 1 on root 2, which is negative pi on 4, based on the range of inverse sine. If you look at this, there is only one answer that goes from 5 pi on 4 to minus pi on 4, and that would be B. Question 6. Given two non-zero vectors, A and B, let C be the projection of A onto B. Oh, okay. Well, we know that projection doesn't really care about the thing that you go onto. So if you're projecting 10A, it'll be 10 times as long. So that makes C the answer, because it does not really matter at all what B is. But I mean, like, if someone doesn't understand this concept, I don't know how they'll do it. I'll draw you guys a picture just in case you wanted to know. So that will be the projection. If you make A 10 times as long, it will make the projection 10 times as long. And that's it. That is a terrible picture. I don't really know, honestly. It's C. Like, there can't be anything else. Question 7. Which statement is always true for real numbers A and B, where these things are, oh great. I love these ones where they have to get you to check each one. So A is smaller than B and they're between minus 1 and 1. Let us start with these inverse ones. I mean, I can see that sine inverse is a great candidate for this kind of thing, because if A is smaller, sine inverse is always an increasing function. So I'm very confident that it's true. But you know, these kinds of questions make you waste time checking everything else and trying to disprove all of these. So I don't like these at all. I'm not a fan of these. I'm not in the mood to check all of them, so I want to say it's B. But there's a little question mark next to it. We'll correct that later if someone tells me otherwise. Yeah, no, I really can't think of any reason why B is not true. Question 8. The diagram shows the graph of a function. Okay. So we've got this kind of picture going on here. Which of the following is the equation of the function? That is a lot of time wasting to try to make this happen, and testing points is probably not the right approach. What you want to do is you want to go through each one individually and trying to see if the order of transformations really create the function that you're looking for. So let's try A. We got this, we shift it down by 2. We're going to absolute value that, so you got this with the 2's. And then we do 1 minus. What does that do? That makes it upside down. Great. What a mess. And then you shift it up by 1. Okay, I'm sort of vibing that it's going to work. If you shift it up by 1, you're going to get this thing. So it's at minus 1. And then you absolute value that. And, you know, now I've lost track. but it doesn't go near 3. You see, you want a 3. So this ain't, A is not going to work because you're not going to get a 3. So we have to try the next one. But it seems like 3 is a bit of a problem. So let's just test 3. At 3, it's going to be a 0. So unfortunately, all of these ones do that. So we'll do the next one. Absolute value of x, shift it down by 1. Absolute value of that, so we've got a little thing there. And we do that upside down. There's probably not enough like twists. And then we moved it up by 2. I cannot see how that one's right either, so we can't have B. Let's try C. So this one decides to move it to the right by 2 first. And then it flips it upside down, great. And then it shifts up by 1, lovely. And then it absolute values that. I can't see how that's right, so I'm a bit worried I made a mistake so far. I'm not seeing any of these being appealing, so it might be A and B again. Great. So D, this thing, followed by upside down, followed by move it up by 2. So we got -1 so far. If we move it up by 2, how's that going to help? And we absolutely value that. No way, no. So it's definitely A or B. I might have done A wrong. So I'm going to try A, which is a little bit bigger. -2, 2, -2. And then we flip it upside, what am I doing? We absolutely value that first. We flip it upside down, so we've got this, 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 this. Oh yes, yes, that's where the -3 comes from. So you can see how just making a small mistake while doing this has wasted us a lot of time checking every single other one when that would have been the correct one to start with. So yeah, go me. So that's definitely A. So we're going to pick A for question 8. Awesome. And question 9. The graph of a cubic is given below. Which of the following has an inverse relation? Ooh. Whose graph has more than 3 points with an x-coordinate of 1. That's a lot of language again. I mean, if you're thinking about this and you're going, okay, which are the following? So they want you to think about the transformations of the given graph, and it wants to talk about inverse relation. Okay, so once you inverse it, and the relation has more than 3 points with an x-coordinate of 1. Okay, so they basically want you to have, this is just a really fancy way of saying how many of these has a horizontal 3 points of intersection, 3 distinct ones. Wait, more than 3 points of intersection with the line y equals to 1. Okay, so let's have a think about this. We can have square root. Square root, you know, could probably do the job. Let's have a look. Square root, you got this, and you got this. That doesn't look good. That's only 3, so that's out. 1 over, perhaps. That. Well, 1 over that is just that. And unfortunately, we can't absolutely value that back, so it's not going to give us 3 either. Okay, what about that one? That one mirrors the part to the right, the left. So we have that, and we've got 1, 2, 3. That's no good. And lastly, we've got the, oh, I mean, like, I can't even see my own diagram. Just get the rubber out. Lad, it's B. Nah, cuz it was A. Thank you, Daddy Uwu. That doesn't sound very nice. Never mind, I may be Fong. Do you mean wrong? Or Wong? Bro, I don't even know what you guys are referring to. Are we talking question 9 right now? At least refer to the question that that we're arguing over. Look, I wrote so many times on this graph. I'm just gonna I'm gonna like obviously do the other flip, this one. But honestly, I'm like a bit stumped. More than 3 points with an x coordinate of 1. What's going on here? That's not gonna work. Have I messed up my 1/overs? Probably. Probably A. It's probably B. Let's find it again. So there's 1 there. There's 1 probably there, and then there's 1 there. I'm counting. I can't see. I can't see more than 3. I can't see B being right. Yeah, Ziad reckons B for that one. Right. I can't see B. I can only see 3 points for B. Because this one's upside down, right? So like how can it be y equals 1 going through that? I'm not seeing B. Guys, we're stumped on question 9. These multiple choices are a killer. I can see why people do these and they go, oh, I don't have time to write out the rest of the exam. Since inverse x equals 1, I'll put C. I don't know if it's right. I reckon CJ Fraser reckons C. Y equals 1 in normal graph. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I want more than 3 on y equals 1. I'm not finding any of it, guys. That's nuts. What's going on? If I do absolute value of x, right, what we're going to get is we're going to get that graph, and that only sees 3 as well. So what gives? There's something really sus about this. I'm just not seeing it just yet. So that's undetermined. I'm gonna like have a little break and have a look at 10. I heard people say 10 was quite hard, but I'll tell you, I'm pretty sure I know what 10 is. Okay, so the way we do 10, I'm just gonna go to the other thing. 9 is a question mark. Can you guys believe it? Like, even your teachers can't do this sort of thing. 9 is a question mark for now. Terrible, terrible. Absolute disgrace. 10. 5 students and 3 teachers to be sit around a circle. How many ways can this be done if no more than 2 students can sit together? So no more means we need to exclude examples where 3 students or more sit together. And this is going to be annoying because it's one of those questions where you have to either like exclude all these examples, but they might have overlaps, especially if you have 4 people sit together as well. Or you're going to try to count all the ways of having 1 and 2 students sit together, like 1 or 2 students. In my opinion, in this question, it's safer to just do it with this method that I'm sort of borderline saying that it shouldn't be in the syllabus. It's called the gaps method. So if you got teachers and you got these 3 teachers, you're going to pick that teacher as the fixed point. And then what ends up happening is that there's only really this many combinations, or you can say configurations, of teachers and students. These are the only 3 pictures that are relevant to how they're describing this. Again, fixed point. Fixed point meaning you don't make a calculation for the teachers. Okay, so you can have 2 students in those 2 spots and 1 student there, or you can have 2 students here, 2 students here, and 1 student there. Okay, and lastly, the last arrangement that you can have is 1 student there, 2 students there, and 2 students there. So what ends up happening is that the calculation you make is you first look at these 3 configurations, that's 3 ways, times by the arrangement of the 2 teachers, that's the 2 teachers that are not the fixed point, multiply by the 5 factorial of all the students, that makes you 3 factorial, 5 factorial. So 10, I'm pretty confident, is B. 10 is B. So if you thought 10 was C, I think they got you. You've overcounted by a factor of 2. So have a real hard think about it, guys. Brother, it's 10 is B. Ahmed, what the fuck was that exam? Yeah, I mean, look, honestly, I'm looking at the last question, and we all thought it was going to be some sort of hard projectile or whatever, but instead they just asked some theoretical stuff, but guys, 10 is B. I want to spend a bit of quality time just getting 9 out. I don't know why I'm having some trouble getting 9. Any votes on any of the options in 9? I've heard a couple of B's and C's in 9, but I can't see it. I can see 9 such a time waster. Have we not considered something for question 9? Okay, let's have a think about 9 again. Inverse relation whose graph has more than 3 points with an x-coordinate of 1. 3 points with an x-coordinate of 1. That means their inverse has three points, more than 3 points with a y-coordinate of 1. Oh, have I? Guys. What? The inverse has 3 x-coordinates of 1, which means the original has more than 3 y-coordinates of 1. And y-coordinate of 1 right now has 3. How can we get it to more than 3? None of these guys do it for me. Do you guys see what I'm saying? Like, I can't get any of these guys to get me 4 points or more when you actually do the transformation. Unless there's something terribly like obvious that I'm not seeing. The square root doesn't work. The 1 over. I'm going to try the 1 over again. Yeah, there's something dodgy about this. 1 over, there. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. These 1 overs don't do anything because they're like below. And this one's below, so that's only 3, guys. I only see 3 for 1 over. Ahmed's like A, B, C, D. You got one of them right, Ahmed. I don't know which one yet. Now, honestly, like if Nessa screwed this up and there was no correct solution for 9, I'd be very upset. There must be something I'm not seeing. So clearly, I'm not seeing something. F of absolute value of x. Let's say if x was negative, you get this, and you get 1, 2, 3. How? Okay. Oh no, mate. You know what, guys? I went through all of this and it was D. 9 is D. That's ridiculous. What a joke. Like you just flip that part up and it just looks so short that I was like, 1, 2, 3, 4. Of course. My goodness. 9 is D. Alright, so we got all the multiple choice and I'm pretty confident they're all correct. So if you want to count up your multiple choice now, 9 is D. What I want to do is RGB, what do you reckon? RGB, I bet you 10 is B, buddy. 10 is B. What we're going to do is I'm going to put the multiple choice as a little text document up the top. While I write out the rest of the paper. So the answers are D, A, C, C, B, and then C, B, A, D, B. Need to add a text file to this. Guys, we have done this before, so just give me a moment. Need to probably change the color, eh? Maybe put it in the bottom right corner. I hope I've typed it correctly. D-A-C-C-B and then C-B-A-D-B. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so those are the solutions. Okay, let's carry on with actually doing the paper. How long have we taken? We've taken about 20 minutes to do the multiple choice, which is what it sounds like a lot of students took. We faffed around so long on question 9, and then question 10 was a bit up in the air for a lot of people. Cartesian equation in the form y equals mx plus c? Sure. Condobolin, isn't that where Shannon Knoll comes from? Great, so we got some n's, 2 repeated n's, a few o's. Just going to make sure we count all this properly. The safest thing to do here is to just list out all the ones that are unique. So C, D, B, L, and I, 3 O's, and 2 N's. Let's just make sure we count all the letters. There's 10 letters here and 10 letters there, total of 10 letters. So how many different ways be arranged in a line? 10 factorial over 2 factorial, 3 factorial. I'm sure the HSC folks probably want you to write the numerical solution, so we'll do that real quickly here. RGB, no one cares, I definitely... Okay. Guys, I don't know why you guys are here. If you've just done this paper, like, what questions are you mostly excited about out of this paper? Is there anything that stood out to you when you went through it? Was the last question to your liking, question 14? Your graph equals 461.96. Okay, interesting. Let's go. Question C. Consider the polynomial. Very standard kind of question. Given that p of 1 is a factor, so, p of minus 1 equals 0, you might as well write that out. I think we're just going to show full working here. They also tell you that p of 2 is minus 18. And that gives us a negative 4. We bring it over to the other side. Negative 14 equals 4a. If I make any arithmetic errors, please let me know, because it happens. It happens to everybody. Like, when I see numbers like 13 and 14, I get a bit nervous, you know? (6a) equals 12. That looks promising. So that makes a equals to 2 and b equals 11. No, let's not stuff around here. 2 minus b makes negative 11. Okay, they only wanted us to find a and b, so that's it. Part D. Miss TH is ranked at 12th at James Roos, brother. Oh, 12th? Don't think I did worse. RGB, you're gonna get 20%. Hi mum, I'm famous. Yo GP says, hi mum, who's Duck or Duke? Man, Duke sounds like someone who goes to Dr. Do, honestly, like Duke, Dr. Duke. Sorry. You're not finishing in 2 hours? Matthew, O ye of little faith. You think I'm not finishing in 2 hours? Yeah, you should be. You're definitely getting an E2. That might be addressed to me, but Matthew thinks I ain't finishing in 2 hours. He's probably right, especially because I'm talking while I'm doing this, but hey, you see the time, it's 5:30 or 5:25 and the finish is at 7. You know what? My excuse is that I'm trying to write in a solution that maybe people can find the working out, readable. Okay, now this is a new thing that people have been getting into in terms of the working out for this. So I want to go with the new style of HSC setting out for this. The old syllabus had a different method that a lot of teachers taught, but I think this is what they like now. So we'll go with this. About to write inverse tan there. Okay, that's D. E. Honestly though, I think the multiple choice will... cheers, Miss TH. Now, if you're legit ranked 12th at James Roos, that's impressive, man. Like, if you're ranked 12th, state ranking's pretty hard, because if you're ranked 12th at James Roos, there's going to be 11 people trying to take up the state rankings before you. So unless you somehow peg all of them and they do badly, state rankings is tough with 12th. But still, kudos to you. That's a great outcome from your years of work. We've all seen these kinds of things. You probably want to square both sides, unless you want to do auxiliary. I don't know what you guys like doing. I'm a fan of auxiliary, but I kind of do my auxiliary a little bit on the fast side, and you have to adjust the domain. So we're going to square both sides. So we have a sine 2 theta equals to nothing. And luckily, because this is a boundary angle question and we know that 2 theta should be between 0 and 4 pi, we're going to end up getting 2 theta equals, let's list them all out. We got 0, pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, and 4 pi. That makes theta equals to 0, pi on 2, pi, 3 pi on 2, and 2 pi. So these are all our answers. Look, we're in a hurry, so we'll take these. We'll keep these answers. You're both spinners. Hardcore glazer. What is a glazer? Test was light work. Okay. We've got some the biggest egos of Sydney hanging out in this YouTube. What an honor. Thanks, guys. A recent census found that 30%. How'd you guys find the 4 unit? Did you find a lot of students overstudy past HSC content and so end up missing the content that's more likely to appear in this year's exam? Because that's exactly what that's exactly what I typed in Board of Studies. I found that if you overstudied the last couple of years of HSC, you would have expected some comprehension and interpretation of sample proportions, maybe binomial probability, maybe binomial approximated as a normal. But what ends up happening is they ended up just testing, like a very sophisticated understanding of stuff like vectors. Some things you can't really kind of prepare or teach for. And I think that is, I guess, what people may be disappointed with this HSC, with their performance. But you know what? The scaling would wash out in the end. A recent census found that 30% of Australians were born overseas. Okay, so that let's just make sure that overseas is the P. N is 900. Okay. A normal distribution is used to approximate. Show that the variance of the random variable. So these are like really basic because they laid out everything for you. You want the people born overseas, the population proportion is this. N is 900. it's as simple as just putting in a formula. Okay, so E of p hat. Well, they don't even want the random variance, but we'll just write it anyway. Might come in handy later. 0.3 times 900 equals 270. And the variance of p hat, the formula is, I wrote n, p, 1 minus p over n. And I think I'm certain that's what they wanted as required. Great. Use the standard. So as you can see, people expected this question to be the hard question this year. Unfortunately, it turned up in question 11. And you know, hope you didn't overthink this one, because these were like really quick 3 marks. Approximate. So what we'd like this to happen is we want to convert the z value Did I just say E of p hat is this? That is ridiculous. What am I thinking? I'm just going to quietly rub that out and saw no one saw this. No one saw what I wrote there. That was crazy. This person actually roughly knows what he's doing. So 0.01 divided by, yeah. Okay. What? That Z value doesn't inspire me with a lot of confidence, actually. Oh, that's right, because they gave you the variance and they made you like not square root it yet. Goodness. You know what I think happens when you're a teacher of big courses like this is you end up being like an arm couch general. You just sit there and you tell the kids how they should be doing the questions, and you never have to do these questions yourself. You know, so we're so rusty when we come to this. Okay, so the rounding looks a bit concerning because it's 0.65. Let's hopefully find 0.65 over here. It's closer to 0.65, and it'll be the number 0.7422. Sure. I think we'll take that. In question 11. 2 decimal places. Okay. Great. Make sure to square root to get the standard deviation. Look, I mean, honestly, yeah, CJ, thank you for that. They must be trolling us when they ask us to find the variance, and then I realized that the Z value was too strange, so I quickly changed it. But you can see how under exam pressure, it's so easy to like kind of just go with the flow and go, oh, where's 42 on the Z table? That's a lot of standard deviations away. Now we're up to question 12. Evaluate. I hate evaluate. Like subbing in, nothing I enjoy less than subbing in values. Okay, and they're keen on you using u equals x minus 3. So we'll go with that. X equals to 3, u equals to 0, x equals to 4, u equals to 1, and the du equals dx, so that's no issues there. We've also got x plus 2, so let's just quickly go x equals to u plus 3, and x plus 2 equals to u plus 5. I can add things to both sides, go me. So we got 0 to 1, and we got x plus 2, which is u plus 5, root u du. We have a fractional power of u over here, and a fractional power of u over here du. Anything could go wrong here. And we have 5 times 2/3. So 10/3, question mark. and we simply sub 1 in, so we got 2/5 plus 10/3. Surely. Quickly do that on my calculator because, you know, I don't have enough brain cells left to do this by hand. We have 56 over 15. Hope that's right. Bro, the test was easy. Only question 14 had me in tears. I reckon 60 out of 70 at least. Oh, that's nice. Bro life. Bro life, living the life right here. 60 out of 70. Mate, I probably won't get 60 out of 70 at the speed I'm doing this exam. We'll find out when we get to the later parts, eh? Question 12b. We'll probably start a new page because of the induction that's coming up. Use induction to prove this. Okay. Do you guys like have students lately in the state been taught to use things like proposition 1, or is it fairly old school still? So I mean, I just say like when n equals 1 or let n equals 1. I don't say stuff like proposition 1. How do you guys say it? Let n equals 1, right? Left hand side equals. And if you put 1 in, it's just 1 times 2, which is 2. And right hand side, 2 plus 1 minus 1 times 2 to the squared. What? Oh yeah, that's a 0. Okay. Miss TH chatting. Bro, I'm a Giga Chad. Oh, thank you, Daniela. Nice of you to join us. We got the Giga Chads of James Roos. We got number 12 of James Roos in chat. They want to tell me how easy this was. 60 out of 70 at least from Bro Life. Real happening here on a Friday night. Crazy stuff. Okay, so assume I don't think this is a very difficult induction, hopefully. Because after all, if you go from k to k plus 1, there's nothing strange that happens. So hopefully it all turns out well. Let's find out. So any other Chads in the school, in the chat here? Any other people that are ranked higher than 12 than James Roos in chat? Feel free to rear your head and let us know. What do you think the first rank of James Roos is doing right now? Are they going home and like watching this, or they probably be like, the exam was so easy, I'm just gonna talk to Sydney Morning Herald and tell them how easy it was? What do you guys reckon? We'll write the second to last term, followed by the last term. Okay, so the left-hand side is equals to all of this stuff from the assumption. Plus that extra term and we're hoping that that equals to the right hand side. That's not the right identity. Better than Eddie Wu. Bro, I'm not sure. Eddie Wu is such an important person. Like it's beneath him to be writing HSC solutions. You know what I'm saying, Daniela? The Eddie Wu is just on a different level. Like, think about it. Like Eddie Wu, if he turned on the stream and just started to write solutions, how many viewers do you reckon he's gonna get? I'm so jealous. Holy crap. Yeah? You like my algebra skills, Genevieve? That's crazy. That's not the right identity, Bob Little says. Sin x plus cos x, you include negative values. I'm not sure what Frederick means by that. Is he saying that I got the earliest equation wrong? There's a chance that I would have got it wrong. I'll have to go back to it. Let's just keep plowing through this exam, hey? So, we want this to eventually equals to the k plus 2. And I think that's not too hard to do. The 2 term just stays the same. I don't think that needs to have any adjustment. Oh wow, this has got to be the easiest right hand side I've seen. All you're gonna get is you're gonna get a 2k here, and I don't see any way someone can't sort of go, oh, that's just add to another indice. So it's 2 to the k plus 2, which equals to the right hand side, and then you say statement is true by mathematical induction. Great, so that was 12B. How are we doing for time? We're like 40 minutes in. I'm kind of worried because if you're 40 minutes in, you're only halfway through 12. I can see why it's stressful when you get to 13 and 14. Okay, let's have a look. 12C. A gym has 9 pieces of equipment, 5 treadmills and 4 rowing machines. Each treadmill is used 65% of the time. So these are giving us probabilities, theoretical probabilities of each treadmill, where each treadmill acts like one trial. So it's like a binomial. Okay. Find an expression for the probability that at a particular time, exactly 3 of the 5 treadmills are in use. So when you check that moment in time, what you're doing is you're doing the treadmills. Let's say T is the number of treadmills in use, follows the binomial distribution of 5 with a 0. Let me just make sure I got this right. 0.65 is the chance of it being successfully used, and rowing machine is has a binomial. That's a bin. I'm just going to tidy that up a little bit. We've got that, which follows a binomial of 4 with a chance of 0.4. 3 of the 5 treadmills in use. They didn't even care about the rowing machines. Hey, poor rowing machines. So that's 5, choose 3, 0.65 to the 3, 0.35 to the squared. And because it says find an expression, I don't think they want you to evaluate this, so that'll be enough. Question part 1. Find an expression that at a particular time exactly 3 and no rowing machines are used. That's a multiplication. So we'll take the answer that we had from before, and all they are expecting to see here is just a quick time sign, because you're doing this as part of the same scenario in the same sort of event. No rowing machines are used, so we're going to go 4 choose 0, 0.4 to the power of 0, 0.6 to the power of 4. Honestly, if you wrote a more simplified version of this, it'll also be correct. That would be fine. Part D. Who uses the word stratospheric? Yeah, kind of cringe actually. Like stratospheric. I mean, like imagine like someone who says stratospheric on a regular basis. Unless they're like working in the space industry, stratospheric is like the cringest thing that a normal person would say. Like that's borderline just mega nerd level stuff. Okay, it is known that this. Okay, so they're providing you with this identity NCR equals to n minus 1 CR minus 1 plus n minus 1 CR. So we get to use that. Find one possible set of values of P and Q such that this is true. Like honestly, I'm sort of looking at this and thinking, that's really strange. Why is it that they gave us 2023 C 1943? What's the significance of that? It's because by the symmetry of Pascal's triangle, we have 20 that equals to 2023. Choose 80, because the difference of those two numbers is 80. Now we're looking at those. We can see that if we wrote all that out, the first 2 terms will be allowed to combine using the rule that they gave us into 2023, because these guys act like n minus 1, so the next one up will be 2023. And number in the bottom, we choose the larger of the two, so it's 81. And then we go 2023, which is the sum we have so far on the first 2 terms, plus 2023 C80 on the other one. And I can see why they said find one possible set, because you could also have done the complement and go 1942 for the other two values. So you're going to get 2024 C81, and that will be adequate for D there. So question 12E. Harder than last year? Frankly, I don't think so. I think it's easier than last year if you know the broad range of topics in the HSC. It's if you like the questions that they put, such as the probability and the binomial approximation as a normal. Those questions are much harder to read and understand. Whereas if you learnt your year 11 work really well, and the early vectors, the introduction to vectors, and you understand it at a very sophisticated level, you would find this exam easier than last year. However, the way the state might find it might be a different story. So in terms of overall performance, I think it'll be very similar to last year. The scaling is still going to be very generous because I don't think anyone would come into this feeling prepared. So it still favors the most bright of students around the schools, especially the selective schools. So all the Giga Chads, like earlier in the chat, you know, this 12th in James Bruce, they would have found this easy. They would easily get over 65 out of 70 if you're ranking 12th in James Bruce. So a region bounded by the hyperbola, the line and the coordinate axis is shown. Okay, find the volume of the solid of revolution rotated about the y-axis. So that you can see that this is a little bit of a scam because it's rotated about the y-axis. Okay, and that's really scary because you need to think of two scenarios here. You need to do this in two sections. We have a 10, and that means we need to probably solve this. Hey, y equals to 60 over 10 plus 5, just making sure that is a 4. So we have y equals to 4 is the cutoff here for the volume of a cylinder. And then after that, you probably need to make x the subject, which is, you know, a bit of a chore, I would say. Not a fun question to do for a question 12e. People would have got stressed over this. X plus 5 equals to 60 over y. X equals to 60 over y minus 5. And that's what you need for the second section from, oh, and we need to find the y-intercept as well. So y equals to 60 over 0 plus 5, which is at 12. Okay, now from this point, I'm actually ready to actually write the volume integral. So the volume equals pi from 0 to 4 of x squared. Now that x is a 10 squared dy, plus from 4 to 12 of the other expression, 60 over y, minus 5 all squared dy. That's 100 y from 0 to 4 with a pi at the front, plus a pi at the front. Now this one, I'm just going to quickly expand it. 3,600 y to the power of negative 2. That looks like a royal pain, actually. Minus 600 over y, because that's a log. Goodness. Why would they do that to you? That is so rude. That is disgusting. Like, so you got 3,600 and you're integrating, so you're dividing by the new power, so you got negative 3,600 over y. Oh man. Minus 600 ln y. Have I bricked this question? What have I done? I can't see this question being this hard. So, will the live stay up on your channel? Yes, it will, Crimson. So if you find that this is a bit tedious to watch, feel free to check back. I'll put a PDF of my attempt at the solutions, and over time it'll become more and more correct. So I'll put it on a Dropbox somewhere. You can have, bro, my mate Cam Gage just dropped the 70 miles. Cam Gage dropping names. Cam, I'm guessing Cameron. Oh, good job, Cameron. Hope the 70 is true, and I'll be keeping an eye on the state rankers this year. We're looking for a Cam Gage, everyone. You heard it here first. State ranking, Cam Gage. Translate the graph 10 to the left. You reckon? Are you allowed to do that, Arian? Because you're rotating an area And if you translate it, the rotation, the thickness of your volume would be changed, and you can't shorten the question like that. I don't think, anyway. So we got 400 pi on this one, plus, I don't want to do this. Like, how is this fun? Nessa, how is this fun? Like, what? 300? ln 12. I can see steam coming out of my brain. 25 times 12 is 300 again. Okay, well that's nice. Followed by another bracket worth of 900. As you can see, we've got some stratospheric and arithmetic calculations going on here on this channel right now. So we've got 400 pi plus pi. Now the 300 cancelled out. We've got a minus 600 ln 12 and another plus 600. So we've got 600 ln 4. That's a 600 ln 4 over minus ln 12, so that's 1/3. That is not fun. I'm going to have to review this answer later on because I don't trust it anymore. There's just something awful about the numbers here. So unless I've completely cooked how I do volumes, this is what I'm seeing, and it is not a fun time. So the answer I've got finally for this question is 1,200 pi plus 600 pi ln 1/3. And if you want to get fancy, you can put a minus sign there and go minus 600 pi ln 3. I can't see. But wouldn't the essential shape of the graph stay the same? Yeah, Arian, let me just draw you a quick picture to sort of explain why you can't quite just shift the graph, because if you rotate this around the y-axis, you get this like really giant looking kind of conical volume, but the moment you shift it a little bit to the left, you're going to get a much smaller volume down below, and it won't sort of equate to the same kind of solid, I don't think. Yo GP got that too. Oh, that fills me with great confidence, Yo. Thank you so much. That's what I got as well, but probably wrong. You know what? If you got 3 people on YouTube getting the same answer, I think we're all Chads here. This is a winner. But hey, Nessa, please. And if you're like an hour in, almost an hour into the paper like I am, and you've just done this volume question at the end of question 12, and you're thinking to yourself, I want to do well in this exam. I've got an hour left for 13 and 14. Like, you're not winning right now, you know, like especially after a question like this. But yeah, I appreciate you guys. Sam, Yo, I think we got the right answer. Grats, guys. Also another state ranker to keep an eye on, Kellen Parker. Well, we're dropping schools as well. Miles, I mean, like, I think people, for their privacy, will probably not, without their permission or consent, have the schools dropped. But you know what? If he's your mate, then by all means. You're all going to be famous one day when this channel pops off and we're just as big as Mr. Wu. Yep. Absolutely. This is a phase I'm just going through this week. Probably never surface on YouTube again. So much work. Question 13, let's go. Alright, question 13. We now are getting more and more into the slightly wacky questions now. Duck shush. Get off YouTube and revise for physics. I got 2 weeks, buddy. Okay, yeah, true. The physics guys can just like probably play games. Play the new season of Diablo 4 or something. You know, just like completely tenderize your brain and just unlearn everything. Play a brain dead game like that and you'll be fine. Okay. Water tank has radius. Now as you can see, I'm just like commentating. I'm not doing this very quick, am I? Water tank is radius R. Tank has a hole at the bottom which allows water to drain out. Lovely. Initially the tank is empty. Water is poured. Oh, I see where they're going with this. We've like seen these kinds of questions before. Where's my pencil gone? Great. Just lost my pencil. Oh, there it is. Okay. We got a constant rate of water going in. The height of the water in the tank is h, as shown in the diagram. It is known that the volume of this solid Wonderful. They actually gave us the volume of the solid. Okay, and the height of the water is h. While the water flows into the tank, also drains out at the bottom, the rate of change of the volume of water in the tank is given by this. Show that dH dt equals that. This is a very out of order question. They're giving us things that normally we find, not things that we actually are given. So it's a strange looking question. Let's try some things. The first thing we would do is probably write out the chain rule that relates the volume rate with the height rate. And we know that dV dt is given so nicely, so we'll just use it. We'll take their word for it for now. dV dH. Now, one of the things about this is that they gave us like a container, a hemispherical container. I wonder if we can just use this to differentiate it, because I think we can. Like we were never asked to do a volume of rotation and manually find that volume itself. So that volume there is just the volume of the water, not the volume of the hemisphere. So we can just quickly use that and differentiate it and get on with life. So yeah, no, we're laughing. This is not the worst kind of question. So dV dH, we can just put that in. 2 pi RH minus pi h squared. Okay, that looks fun. We might as well factorize it. And that's the 2r minus h. And we've got the dH dt. Dividing that to the other side, assuming that 2r is not equals to h, just putting a little note to self there, is k over pi h, like we wanted. Great, 13a part 1, part 2. Okay, let's go. 1,200 pi minus 600 pi ln 3. Yes, exactly, Russell. Good job, guys. Show that the tank is full of water after this. Now that's interesting. Because it's a hemisphere, I'm guessing that they want us to find when the height is the s. Interesting. Okay. So they want to know when is the value of h equals to capital T. How do we get that? I think it's just a matter of separation of variables. So let's just start doing the integration process. I gotta say that volume question is such a tedious question though. It wouldn't be a nice marking question either for the HSC markers. Now let's just check. When t equals 0, initially the water is empty, so h equals 0, and that makes c equals 0, so that's good. And we have pi. We want to let now t, let's just update the formula, might as well. Let's make t equals to, we want to find t, sorry. H is capital R, because when it reaches the top of the hemisphere, h is the radius, so pi capital R squared on 2k equals to t. Fantastic, so that's what they wanted. Great, part 3. So far, it's nothing too crazy. If you just piece all those things together and put it into the chain rule, it all works out very nicely. It's just the amount of letters might throw people off and really dazzle people. The instant the water tank is full, water stops flowing into the tank. So they stop the water, okay, the pouring of the water, but it continues to drain out of the hole at the bottom as before. Show that the tank takes 3 times as long to empty as it did fill. Okay, that might be a lengthy question. Let's have a think about that one. 3 times as long to empty. So for this one, I have a feeling that we need to start from scratch and talk about dv/dt. Originally, it was k 2r minus h. Expanding that is 2kr minus kh. But now we're going to remove the input of water. So we're going to get rid of the water that's going in. So just get rid of that term there. And what we're really doing is minus kh. That's the that's dv/dt right now. And we need to do the question all over again. So I can see why this is 3 marks. We have the dv/dh from earlier, pi h 2r minus h. We've also got the dh/dt. Same kind of working out. We've got the minus kh over here. Did I write t there? kh. Okay. I don't know how I want to organize this. We're just grinding through the algebra at the moment. Separating the variables and integrating. Okay, now we need to check the initial conditions carefully. This time I want to set t equals 0, h equals to capital R, because that's the start of the second part of the motion. Which I'm vibing 3. This is a good sign. We have 2 pi minus pi on 2, and that is 3 halves of pi capital R squared plus c, and that means c is negative that value. And we got minus kt equals to all this stuff minus 3 on 2 pi r squared. Now we want h equals 0 to find t. So those terms all disappeared, and we got minus 3 on 2 pi r squared over capital over minus k, and that is 3 pi r squared over 2k. Now let's compare that with the answer we got from before, from part 2. The answer was pi r squared over 2k. Perfect. 3 times as long to empty. It's satisfying when it turns out nicely, because there was a lot of algebra involved in getting to this point. That was a difficult 3 marks, time consuming. 13b. I'm getting a 97, Kevin Chen says. No, I misread the question. Sorry, I'll just have to catch up on chat. I got LN2. For question 11, pi cannot be a solution as it does not work when subbed in. Oh, yes, Mohammed. Thank you very much. Yes, he got that one wrong. Just put it on decimals, it's just 0. This is what I'm saying, guys. Like, squaring both sides is really dangerous because you're introducing extra solutions. That's why I was earlier saying, should I do squaring? Should I do, you know, auxiliary angles? And often auxiliary angles is a safer way of doing it. Yeah, Kevin reckons he's getting a 97. Thought the exam was pretty easy. Good on Kevin. We're gonna have to go back and fix up the question later. Whoops. Okay, question 13b. Particle A is projected from the origin. All this stuff. At the same time, B is projected horizontally with an initial speed of u. Okay, so fairly standard. We've got the 2 displacement vectors that they gave us. And h is the height vertically initially above the thing. Angle theta is chosen, so that tan theta is this. Okay. Two particles collide. Look, I have a feeling that these kinds of questions are always just going to be substitution. Yeah, I got that correct. So free. So free. You get it wrong, the boss. What happens if I did dv dt as kt rather than minus kt and do the integration, and rather than subbing in 0, I subbed in hu? You know what, boss? I reckon if the markers are generous, you could probably get a 2 out of 3, because the substance of the integration is very similar, except your sort of initial conditions. Yeah, I feel like you're gonna need to run into a generous marker. Yeah, so that's how I think about it, right? You might have to get a 2 out of 3 from a nice marker, just because they might question, you know, your interpretation of the question. Okay, so verify this. The two particles collide. To me, I'm just thinking if they collide, the x values must be the same. So let's just go Vt cos theta equals to ut, and the other values as well. But they don't want h. They're not even interested in h. So we don't need that other stuff. But let's just write it up anyway for later. Okay. Get rid of those terms. So firstly, they seem to have asked us to show something really nice and trivial. So we'll just oblige them. And theta's acute. Okay, so that will be root 5, and therefore cos theta equals to 1 on root 5. So cancelling out the t's, we got v on root 5 equals to u. Now I'm pretty sure that that this is going to come in handy later, because it's a really sort of strict relationship between the projection velocity of the two projectiles. Let's go. By showing the particles collide at time t. Okay, so this time they want to involve the times when they collide. It's interesting because it means that the horizontal projection speeds determine that they're always going to be one above each other. They're never really going to be one ahead of each other. So the question is just focused around having now Vt sine theta equals to h, just h. What have I done? Not quite done. Why don't we just make, surely, is that all they want us to do? V sine theta. Okay, sine theta would be 2 on root 5. And that, have I missed how to do this? Show that the particle at time t. Okay, probably an algebra mistake somewhere from me. Oh, of course not. Okay. Because we know that v on root 5 is u. Yay. Go me. When the particles collide, their velocity vectors are perpendicular. Interesting. Yeah, okay. People are coming back. Okay, we got complaints, everyone. Customers not happy with 11E. Yeah, look, I knew 11E was a bit sus. You know, when I was talking about it, I was like, should we do auxiliary just to play it safe? Or do we square both sides? I personally hate squaring both sides. I know it does bad things, but we did it just because I didn't feel like messing around with the domain. So that's on me, guys. I'll go back and fix it shortly when we get to the end of the paper, okay? So, show that h equals to 2u squared on g. Let's just write out all the velocity vectors. I feel like it's time to actually just turn all the thetas into what they told us. So cos theta is 1 on root 5. Sine theta is 2 on root 5. No fraction bars in vectors. And t is the one that they gave us. So we're going to use the one that they gave us from the previous line because they keep wanting to talk about u, so that's probably that one. Okay, and the velocity of the other particle is going to be u and minus gt. Again, at t equals to t, we have u minus g, the same thing. And because it's perpendicular, I think the safest way to do that is just to dot product these things. And that should be 0. So we have v. I think I've lost track of whether we should write v or u, but you know what, we'll deal with that in a second. Vu, 1 on root 5, plus those guys multiply together. It's kind of messy actually. My u's and v's starting to look the same now. Let's just turn the v's into root 5u. Should have done that a little bit earlier. I feel like one of those disappear. Let's expand it. Have I just lost something? What have I done? H equals to 2u squared on g. I must have dropped an h somewhere, guys. How embarrassing. Some of these answers are wrong. RIP. Nextjo reckons just 11e. Okay, well, got the experts all coming out of the woodworks. Sheesh. I'm getting bogged down. I made a mistake here. I just can't see it. Anyone see a mistake here? Do not tell me I have to like solve it. Because there's an h there that shouldn't be there. Awkward. I want to look at 4, and I'm sure it'll come to me in a second. Okay. Prior to the collision, the trajectory of particle A was a parabola. Yeah, but we know that. Thanks for telling us this. Find the height of the vertex of that parabola above the horizontal plane. Give it in terms of age. Alright, we'll do that one and we'll come back to 3. Because I just have a feeling that I made some silly error in 3. Okay. So, would you write that again? We want the y value to be 0. On the height of the vertex of that parabola above the horizontal plane. You know, it's this notation. I absolutely hate this notation. Like, why is vectors even in this in the first place? Every time I do this, I whinge about this. Now, I have a feeling that we know all these things. We know V happens to be, from earlier in the question, root 5u. We know sine squared from the triangle up above, 2 on root 5 squared, so 4 on 5. And 2g is there. So the root 5 squared and the 5 cancel out, so we've got 4u squared on 2g. But they want it in terms of h, so we know that's you know, simplifying it a little bit. And 2u squared on g. What? Wait, what? Okay. No, that can't be true though, can it? Like what? More like h for her. Huh? 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 Anyone got h for her? Okay, we're just gonna go back up, and I want to just check what I did wrong with part 3. You got h as well, Fred? All right. Well, that, I mean, they didn't draw the diagram like it was gonna go to. It's h, yeah, no. If it's not h, down the pan goes. If it's not h, I'm gonna commit a crime. Look, yeah, as you can see, the drawing does not seem to suggest it's h, but they've put in so many restrictions and conditions on this question that the original sort of scenario is unrecognizable, and clearly it's just funneling you towards h. So if you guys got h, I think we're all winning right now. So hi John. It's not to scale. Yeah, no, I think yeah, no, Dan, don't jump off a bridge, please. I need every mark I can get. Isn't it the derivative of y and let it equal 0? Differentiate. Solve the quadratic at 3. You know, like Russell, I think it's laziness. It's sheer laziness that makes me not want to do these things. Okay, so I'm gonna like take the viewer suggestion because I can see this. Look, you know what? Like, honestly though, it's probably something dumb like this. Like, and really, I should be like. Remember those people that said I had stratospheric algebra skills? Like, I do. You know, like, take my word for it. I honestly do. Okay? Like, I know this. Sheesh. I just looked at this and I thought it would have been simpler. You know, my mind was like, surely I dropped the square sign because these terms must cancel out. No. But it's just a perfect square, guys. Yeah. So, my bad. Or you can use a quadratic formula, completing square, factorizing, whatever you like. Quadratic formula is probably a lot of people's first choice. Yeah, thanks for that. Thank you very much, Russell, for that suggestion. Completing the square works too. Sorry about that. Whoa, wrong page. My bad. So guys, that question, part 3, this is a neat perfect square. If you did a quadratic formula with h equals, that'll be totally fine as well. Okay. Etc. Also works. My bad. Yeah, thanks for that, Jonah. What was question 10 MC? Question 10 MC is B on the bottom of my screen there. Let him cook. No, thanks so much. Look, honestly, I'm happy that people are just helping me through it a little bit here and there because I just want a product that's actually a correct solution. And so far, we've got Giga Chads in chat here that are actually, you know, probably going to get full marks or nearly full marks in the exam. They're probably sitting here waiting just for a bit of a reassurance that they got the same answer as me. And if more than 3 people on YouTube agree on the same answer, we're probably all right. And, you know, going to be 70s just around, just everywhere. So we've just done 13b, and we're up to 14, guys. We've got 40 minutes for question 14. Things are looking good. Okay, so what do we got for question 14? My man is cooking hard right now. OMG, I was this close to finishing. Slashy, me too. Like, I'm gonna own it. If I was in your shoes in the exam and I looked at this, I would have given up. I would have kept going, and I would have probably dropped the mark there, the solve, right? So, you know, I feel ya. I think it's a tough way to lose a mark, especially if you're probably going to get all of 14 right. So let's go. Are we going to get all of 14 right? Let's find out. Oh, inverses again. Why? They love these inverses. They know inverses trip people up. It's just one of those things, right? And they define it for x is greater than, well, of course, because it's ln x. What am I talking about? Okay, so let's go. Question 14, let's cook. Part 1. Explain why the inverse of f of x is a function. Oh, geez, really? Look, to me, the way you do this is you just check f dash x, and you go 2 plus 1 on x, and you say that is greater than 0 for x is greater than 0. Therefore, f of x is monotonic increasing. I.e. 1 to 1. Look, you don't have to say any combination of these. You can say passes the horizontal line test, 1 to 1, any of those is fine. I think like I'll just write 1 to 1 just to be safe. Therefore, the inverse of f of x is a function. Great. Part 2. Hey Jonah K, what anime is your profile picture from looks? Mr. May, I have no idea. My sister knows it. Oh, we've got anime enjoyers in chat. Could you also graph it and say there's a 1-to-1, or it passes the horizontal line test? Graphing it, I think, Mohammed, totally fine. If you graphed it, as long as you manage to show, okay, I'm going to do this in red just for your suggestion. If you try to graph it, you probably will want to show a reasonably decent asymptotic behavior. So let's just make sure that we got 2x, we got ln x, and if you were to do the addition of those two graphs, their sum would be something that looks like this. I mean, I couldn't tell if there's a change in concavity, but I think if you did this, I think they'll be happy with the 1 mark. It's out of 1. They're not going to be super pedantic and be like, you have not accurately graphed the concavity of this. No. I think this will be fine as well. Okay? By letting g of x be the inverse of x by considering the... Okay. Here we go. By considering the value of f of 1 or otherwise, evaluate g dash of 2. I loved how they give you a subtle hint about f of 1. Let's just do f of 1 real quick. That equals to a 2. So what this tells us is that when you go to the inverse function, g inverse g of 2 is 1. Okay? Now, if you've done the advanced paper recently, you would have learned something about you know, the properties of inverse graphs and how their gradients relate. So I'm just gonna check something. I'm a bit concerned. Oh no, actually this is appealing to that really fringe area of the inverse topic. It goes like this. You guys remember this thing? It's this thing, right? It's this stupid thing. I hate it. How do we write this? Okay, we know that at x equals 1, Mhm. You know what I don't like about all this F and G rubbish, guys? F's and G's just are confusing. So you know what I'm gonna do? We're gonna be a Chad and just go back and use Y and X. You can't go wrong with Y and X, guys. The coordinate is 1, 2. When you apply the inverse process, I'm going to my safe space. You know what I'm saying, guys? When you're like getting a bit bogged down by the F's and G's, you go to your safe space and you go here and you go, all right, I'm looking for dy dx, okay, of at something, right? At what? 2. And I know it's going to be 1 over dx dy, which we happen to have a very good function, perfectly workable function for. Okay. And we know that at x equals to 2, the y value happens to be a 1. So you're going to put 1 there, and that will be totally fine. And the answer is 1/3. And really, we know this because in the original point on the inverse, on the original graph, it's 3. So the interaction between the inverse and the graph is not a perpendicular, but more a reciprocal gradient. So 1/3 is perfectly fine. 1/3 is absolutely the right answer. And this is probably your cleanest working that I can recommend, right? Like if you're doing F's and G's, it messes with you. It just stuffs you up. Like stick to F and G, guys. Like do the full setting out like this, and you'll be fine. Okay, question 14b. No face reveals, guys. Let's just put it this way: Eddie Wu's better looking than me, so we'll just settle it there. You know, we're gonna continue to be Eddie Wu enjoyers. Let's go for part B. Consider the hyperbola. Now this question, like I'm just reading this, it seems like it's just 2 graphs, right? How hard can it be? 2 graphs. Okay. C is a constant. It's just a circle. That's just a circle. I mean, it'd be nice maybe to like draw this just to have an idea of what's going on. But I almost feel like given how much help they're giving you, you're just going to play their game and not even worry about drawing it. But we'll draw it. Shift it to the right by C. So it's like something like this, you know? Yeah, and I suppose the question's going to be about how big C gets so that you get like one solution or something. But let's just go with the flow here. It says the x coordinates of any points of intersection. So points of intersection is when you make y, and you just sub it in, right? So let's just sub it in. Okay, cancel out the C's. I just think, is that it? Is that all the question is to it? Timesing everything by x squared. Okay, and that's the, so you can say that the x values of the intersection are solutions of above. Great. Okay, part 2. Sort of running a little bit low on space for part 2, but we'll see. Let's have a look. 2022 to 24 HSC group. Stacy, same. / synapse. That's a cool name, dude. If I did incorrect working for part 2, but right answer, how many marks? Part 2 of which one? Oh, yeah. You mean part 2 of 14A? I think 1/3 is a pretty like set in stone answer. If you manage to do some gradient of the original function, I'm not sure if the marking guidelines are going to award 1 out of 2, depending on how generous and how well people go in this question. Yeah. But yeah, the F and G thing, I'm a bit annoyed about. They shouldn't be doing that. That's just throwing people off. The notation's so much better with X's and Y's. Now, the graphs of this, I'm just going to go onto the other screen. There's no way of knowing how many marks you would have gotten. It's all up to the HSC exactly. The markers, they go together and decide. I'm just going to show you guys what this picture looks like here. We've got this. Now, they kind of like spoon feeding you the information that here is potential shapes of this graph for different values of C. And as C gets bigger, you can see that the dotted line would transform into a more aggressive, quartic, meaning that you can get more and more solutions. Because right now, at C equals 0.8, there's no solutions. At C equals 1, there seems to be 2 solutions. And surprise, surprise, I have a feeling they're going to be talking about 1 solution. Let's have a look. Find the exact value of C. Exact value, okay, such that the hyperbola and the circle has only 1 solution. Intersect, oh, surprise, wow, I wonder what's going to happen. So based on the, not so subtle hints, right? Based on the huge hint that they provided us, we know that C, somewhere between 0.8 and 0.9, and 1, sorry, will result in 1 intersection point. So, I guess the question is, how do we get that solution? Now, the second cool thing about this is that this graph seems to be touching the x-axis when it does happen. So that solution will be a double root. Now, we all know that in the new syllabus, the roots of multiplicity is a big deal. So what's going to happen is that chances are, if it's double root, p dash x must also equal 0. So let's find p dash x. We've got 4x cubed minus 6c x squared without the 1 should be 0. Now we just need to solve this, hey, so let's go. Bit worried about like the values there, but let's just find out. X squared 4x minus 6c equals to 0, x equals 0, or x equals to 6c over 4, which is also 3c over 2. Now x equals 0 is ridiculous because we know that is not a 0 of that of whatever that quartic is. So we know this, and we also happen to know that the c has a restriction between 0.8 and 1. Okay, but that's fine. But we also need to sub this back into the original cubic to make sure that it is actually a solution. So let's do that. I would say that this is a fairly respectable question. It's not really hard, and the hint is really blatant, but it's not that easy. So we got an 81 c to the 4 over 16 minus 2c multiplied by 27 c cubed over 8 plus 1, and that's got to be 0, guys. So we've got what a pain, c to the 4 81 over 16 minus 27 over 4 plus 1 equals 0. It's just going to come down to solving it. Let's just make sure that I've got the calculator out for this. Minus 27 over 4 minus 27 over 16. So therefore, I'll move the C4 to the other side. Look, honestly, it doesn't matter how you guys do it. It's going to be C4 equals to 16 over 27. And C equals to 2 over the 4th root of 3 cubed. What is that? I mean, okay, let's just make sure that it's between 0.8 and 1, eh? If that's right, then I think we'll be fine. How do I type 4 through it again on the calculator? Oh, this thing. 427. Okay. Oh, well, they want an exact answer, but we know that this is the good answer. This is good. This is a smiley face. And this is the correct answer that we want because they wanted exact values. I'll just write it one more time. And that's the correct answer for B part 2. Okay, wonder what common mistake they all made. A lot of people that saying they ended up with C equals to 2. C is this number. Yeah. C is this number because it's between 0.8 and 1. So we're up to the vector question now at the very end of question 14C. We've got about 20 minutes left. Kind of like, you know, pretty cutting it close there. Given a non-zero vector PQ, it is known that the vector Q minus P is perpendicular to PQ. Well, that's right, because dot product equals 0 and has the same magnitude. Nice, good of them to tell us that. A and B have position vectors. No, I'm not a fan of these like letters. Let's just write them out. OA. So 20 minutes. If we can't get this last question in 20 minutes, you know, then yeah, it's game over. Using the given information or otherwise, show that the area of triangle OAB is this. In these situations, you best draw on a diagram. I don't know why I'm only doing the first quadrant. I really shouldn't be. Let's not do the first quadrant. Let's do the whole thing. And OB, they didn't say they had the same magnitude, so we can't really say anything about the magnitude. I'll put OB in a fairly random location. Okay. Now, how do we find an area of a triangle? There are lots of different ways. There's a sine type formula, and there's the base and height. So, what's it going to be? Any votes? I'm vibing. I'm vibing base and height. I'm vibing base and height just because there's just something that really speaks to me about what they're telling us. Something perpendicular. It's almost like they really want us to do base and height. But let me just try to think about this for a moment there. But why? Why do they want to know that? Same magnitude. Show that the area of the triangle is this. Let's give a go at the base and height method. Probably going to be a bit of a pain actually, because you then end up having to, like, you know, do all the magnitude formulas. It's a real pain, like projections and stuff. Fine. Let's do the sine way. I'll change colors back. It would be nice to get a base and height like answer, but anyway. It is 3 marks, so it's going to take a little bit of work. Sine theta. Now, we know that cos theta is the dot product divided by their magnitudes, product of the magnitudes. And therefore, sine theta is probably going to be the other thing, you know, if you make it into a triangle. I just don't feel like putting all the things in yet. I'm not ready to do that. And we're not using that information they're giving us. You did the AB sine theta. It was very algebra-y. Yeah, algebra-y. Absolutely. It's like bash the crap out of it. I'm just not seeing a like nice, insightful way of using the perpendicular stuff. It's not cool. I'm just like not vibing this. I'm not vibing this. It's heavy going, and it's gonna be a lot of letters and writing. I'm just thinking, should I give up on it or keep going? We might as well write it out because someone might benefit from it. One of my colleagues at work is actually on the marking committee this year for this question, and they want me to write this out for them, so I'll have to offer them both solutions anyway. Let's see. I just don't want to do this. How is this fun? You know what? Let's just do the dot product. Oh, it's so much letters. OA.OB. So A1, B1, A2, B2. On the bottom, you've got the square root of A1. Why am I trying to squish all this in here? B1 squared plus B2 squared. That looks like so much fun. I can't wait. Can't wait to do this. The other side first. Okay, well, I mean, it looks promising. We do have a lot of terms that cancel out. So, the first and the last term will cancel out. And in the middle, we have, I'll just write them all out. Back of my head, I still really want to use the thing that they gave us. This looks really tiresome. And look, okay, I appreciate another perfect square here. Okay, like you can see a perfect square going on, and this makes me more and more think that there is something a nicer way of doing this question. So this exam has had two really nasty perfect squares now. Okay, so we got x. So there's sine theta. We got sine theta. Probably some kind of absolute value here because we don't know. Over, yeah, no, well, that's in the answer, so that's obviously a good sign, right? Over the root of all that other stuff. We'll just go back to writing OAs and OBs. How is that fun? Okay, putting that over here. Have we got it? Why is that root there? Why do we have a root there? What am I cooking here? Why is there a root there? Huh? Okay, we're having some mistakes here. There shouldn't be a root there. Oh, there isn't a root there. I mean, the hypotenuse is just the two absolute values. Alright. He's getting tired, guys. He's getting tired. He's getting like, really like, you know, seeing things that he shouldn't be seeing. as required. Alright, how many minutes left? We've got about 15 for our part 2. Sheesh. I still really want to go back and try to use the thing they gave us, because there's got to be a nicer way to do this question. Okay. There's a trapezoidal method, a parallelogram method. Nice. Yeah. For 14a, if it says passes the horizontal line test, the boss, if you wanted to argue that it's passes the horizontal line test, you should at the minimum draw them a picture like this, where you sketch them the sum of the two graphs. Okay, part 2. This part looks like a really chunky question for 4 marks. No worries, one big push for the last part of the question. I need to go back and correct 11e. That was a shocker. I can't believe I missed questions there. Let's have a look. The point P lies on the circle centered at, okay, with the radius right, okay, so the small radius, such that IP makes an angle to T to the horizontal, and this one's 2T. Interesting. Note that OP equals OI plus IP. Wow, thanks. And OQ is OJ plus J. Whoa, so helpful, guys. Wow. Maybe that's a hint. Using part 1 or otherwise, find the values of T. Find the values of T, where T is between minus pi and pi. That maximizes the area of this triangle, OPQ. Well, I mean, after all, they made us do the area, so we'd have to try to do it like using their formula. I'm sure there is some nice, like, cool way of doing this, where the angles are like just set up so nicely, but that's for me to have a think of later. In the exam sort of conditions right now, we're going to just find the area of that. So how do we do that? We are going to basically use everything that they've given us, including OP. Okay, here we go. So IP has the following components: cos T, sine T, radius R. So we got R, cos T, component I, R, sine T, component J. I can see that you just have to be really good at vector addition. Like this is a really hard vector question. Or maybe not to some people, but whatever. Okay, so OP will be all of this plus R on the I component. And you've also got a J as well of R sine T. Not bad. Okay, that's OP. And similarly, we can go for an OQ in the same sort of fashion. A bit concerned about, oh no, it's not too bad. It's a capital R, same thing. And they're using cos 2t this time. Sine 2t. With a J, and we're saying that it's JQ plus OJ. So let's just be really careful here, make sure we don't do any negative sign bloopers. Got minus RI. Okay, great. And then we've got J, which is okay, and we know that the triangle is a half of the absolute value of the dot products done in that sort of order. So they want this one. It's hard to draw arrows. They want this one to go with that one, and that one to go with that one. Minus. But what order? Well, it doesn't really matter, does it? So let's go. A1 goes with B2. Well, we're gonna need more space, don't we? B2. I feel like a lot of the letters will end up being a bit unnecessary eventually, and it's probably some nice trig identity, so that looks nice. Okay, minus A2, which is R sine T, times by B1. Okay, it's not looking too bad. That's capital R, little r. Let's just check out all the terms here. We've got a sine 2t. I don't know if I want to expand it yet. I don't feel quite ready to expand it, but at the same time, you know what, the r's, the capital R's are all like just going to be everywhere anyway. I'm just deciding if I want to just bring it out. We'll do it later. These minus signs need to get processed a little bit. Okay, this doesn't look too bad at all. Assuming these are positive values, we've got sine 2t plus sine 2t cos t plus sine t minus sine t cos 2t. Those two terms are probably a compound angle expression, and I think we'll definitely oblige with that. So sine of that blur, it's going to be a 2t minus t. Nice. I feel like I've seen this expression before, but when we get a realistic answer, that's when I'll be happy. Double angle expansion that. Get the 2's out. And the HSC of 2023, the last question ends with a calculus minimizing, maximizing. Unless do we want to do something funny here? Is there any chads that want to suggest something different to minimize, maximize this? Find the values of t. That maximizes this area. I mean, look, okay, whatever. Cos t don't tell me this is going to be a quadratic. Why do we do this? Just making sure I've got my coefficients right before I get going with the quadratic formula. That's a 9, really? Oh, it's factorizable. Joy. Let's factorize it. I need to start writing these equal signs on the left like a bozo. 2 cos just making sure that's right. Yep, that's the right order. So either cos t equals to a half or minus 1. And really, like, t equals to a half, it gives us like kind of only one answer because it's a q. So that makes pi on 3. And minus 1 is only going to give us something silly like pi or something, which, I don't know, it sounds like a degenerate case because when you have pi, p will be all the way over to the beginning and 2t will be, so pi doesn't make sense. location on the diagram. You're just going to get like 2 points on each other as P and Q in the same spot, both at the origin. So it seems like t equals pi on 3 is the answer that I've got for that one. Oh my goodness, no one can see the working out that whole time. Oh, dude. Pi on 3, guys. And I couldn't even be bothered to check if it was a maximum. I'm not sure if the markers will care if it's a maximum or not, but you can check quite easily if it's a maximum. So it's pi on 3. And we got about 3 minutes left. We're going to go back and quickly fix up the answer to question 11E, and that will be the solutions. I think overall, Jonah got c equals to 2 as well. What's c equals to 2? Which question are we referring to, reactive? So apparently, when you squared both sides here, right, what ended up happening is that there are times where when you square both sides, you can possibly add solutions where cos theta plus sine theta was actually -1. So when you square both sides, the lesson to learn from this is to check every single solution. And this is why I was a bit nervous about doing this. So one of these solutions doesn't work, and it's this one. This one's wrong because cos of pi is -1 and sine pi is 0. Just check all the other ones. 0 subs in correctly. Sine 90 is correct. Sine this one is also dodgy because that one's wrong. And lastly, 2 pi will be correct as well because it goes back in the circle. So therefore, theta is actually 0, pi on 2, and 2 pi. How many marks was that question? I can suspect that anyone who uses this method might run into problems. I would have maybe, if I was actually doing this HSC for myself, do it with the auxiliary angle method. I'm just going to write the auxiliary angle method here, just really quickly in the last couple of minutes. Okay, so we got, this is going to be a root 2 that's not a 0, is it? So we have a related angle of pi on 4, and the locations for that on 1 over root 2 is here and here. This is probably the safer way of doing these questions because you're not unnecessarily introducing what's this half 1 over root 2 doing? So we've got pi on 4, which is in the domain that we reset. We've also got 3 pi on 4, and we've also got the next revolution of pi on 4, which is 9 pi on 4. And that leads us to theta equals to 0, pi on 2, and also 2 pi. So this is clean. If you do that kind of working, you don't need to check every answer because these are all the answers you get. Did I make a mistake on the very last question? Question 14 was dreadful. 3 pi on 2 doesn't work, exactly. 14b has to be between 0.8 and 1. Well, I got 0.87, so I'm pretty sure that's not too bad. And the last answer, can I get a confirmation about c equals to 2 can't be correct? Where is c equals to 2? You guys got a c equals to 2? I got c equals this, guys. This is the, in my opinion, a fairly correct answer for 14b. It is a nice number between 0.8 and 1, and the exact value is what the marker will be looking for to get that. The last question, I am not 100% sure. The proof was right. The calculus here, dubious. Okay, so I'm just gonna, we're at time up. We finished the exam in time, even with all the, banter, but I really appreciate you guys hanging out. If you see any mistakes, please feel free to contribute in the Board of Studies forum and let me know where I can make some adjustments. I'm gonna upload this PDF into the YouTube comments, and yeah, I hope you guys all had a good exam today, and good luck with the rest of your exams. Just remember, if you did extension 1, you're all winners because of scaling. Have a great night, guys.